I thought today we could talk all things cold weather essentials, which I feel is pretty timely given that we've just recently come out of winter here in Australia, so this is all feeling very fresh in my mind. And you'll probably know how much I love a capsule, kind of curating a tight edit of items that work together in harmony. And so I wanted to focus on 10 key categories that I feel create the foundation and form those building blocks of our autumn and winter outfits. And I'm going to be chatting through the little details I look for and just kind of things to keep in mind, especially when you are shopping for cold weather essentials. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be running you through some styling advice and also sharing more than 30 outfits that combine all of these pieces together, because I feel like the proof is in the pudding and actually getting to see how it all works. All of the items on my rail today are actually from Goelia. I've kind of picked my favorites from their website, though regardless, you should be able to take away some really great tangible advice that you can apply when shopping wherever you decide to buy your essentials. So I do have a great discount code, so you can get up to 30% off your order plus a free tank top with your purchase. I'll have that on screen and in the description box below. Now, one thing to know about me, if you've ever read my Substack, my capsule newsletters, is that I don't actually have prescriptive items that I'm recommending. I'm also thinking about the function, how we use an item in our wardrobe rather than a specific piece, because our style is different and we shouldn't all have the same essentials in our wardrobe. So of course I have to start with the most obvious, which is knitwear, because who doesn't love bundling up in a cozy knit when it is cold? And this can kind of present in your wardrobe in a few different ways. You could have a slim classic crew neck. Maybe it's actually something quite fitted. It could be a V-neck. It could be kind of a Henley style like what I have on here. Maybe it's a cardigan. Maybe it's something super oversized and slouchy, something that has more of a tunic look to it. But the one thing that I always recommend is seeking out styles that are made from 100% natural fibers. The reason being that these are going to feel really luxurious against your skin. They're going to wash and wear better than their synthetic counterparts. And while there is a small element of upkeep, so you probably want to have some kind of a wool comb or a depiller on hand to tidy up your knits both during and at the end of the season, you'll never ever regret spending a little bit more on this category. So I have a few different silhouettes to sort of share with you here. So first of all, we've got this Henley style, and the thing I especially love about this is that it actually has this faux layered element, so it instantly feels more styled. And you'll probably see recommended online a lot to wear a little t-shirt underneath a crew neck knit so that you have that visual layering element, and that just kind of makes an outfit feel slightly more finished. So this knit's actually doing all of the work for you. And of course it's made from 100% wool. I'm going to hazard a guess that it's a lamb's wool, just from the way that it feels texturally on the hand, not itchy at all. And I do tend to like sizing up in my knitwear just to get something that feels really cozy and a little bit slouchy. It's easy to refine a slouchy knit by pairing it with a more tailored piece, whether that's some sort of a longer pencil skirt or even a really beautiful pair of pleat front pants. So something a little bit different, I really love this kind of more sailor style. It has a V-neck, and V-necks are incredibly universally flattering because they draw the eye downwards, and it's a great option for those who are actually a little bit bustier. But this kind of collar, it feels a little bit unexpected, a bit different, and really makes this stand out from your classic V-neck silhouette. This one's actually a wool and cashmere blend, and it feels really luxurious. It's quite kind of bouncy on the hand, which I love, because I think when we're wearing stuff like this very close to our body, we want it to feel comfortable. If it feels scratchy, we're not going to reach for it at all. And it's definitely something I'm always trying to hit home. And again, yeah, I did size up in this one to a medium. Then we have another little Henley option, which differs from the one that I'm wearing in that it has a double collar detail. And here is another way that you can think about the knitwear you're bringing into your wardrobe is, does it have texture? So aside from the kind of fuzzy fluffiness of a knit, is it a cable knit or is it ribbed? Because that is going to add instant visual intrigue to your outfits. And so this one has that beautiful cable knit design, and again we have this faux layered element. Almost looks like I'm wearing two knits layered over each other, and the buttons on the front are functional too if you want to open up the neckline, which again is kind of going to lean into that really flattering element, but otherwise a really classic silhouette. Then of course I wanted to kind of highlight a cardigan as well. So this has more of a traditional classic fit, but the thing that really drew me to this is the color. It is phenomenal, and we're seeing a lot of burgundy at the moment, so it feels on trend, but this is just a classic neutral in general. It comes back every single year, just branded slightly differently, whether it is cherry cola or wine or Bordeaux. They're kind of all much of a muchness. And I like the fact that it also has this little embroidery here. I think that's really quite sweet. The fact that the buttons also match the color of the knit because it feels really seamless, and that to me is a way that a piece can instantly feel more elevated, regardless of whether it is something that is totally blowing the budget or something that doesn't really break the bank. And you'll see at the end of the video how I use this as an accent piece to really amp up my outfits. My next very obvious essential is a good wool coat, and where you can, I think if you can find 100% natural fibers, that's always going to be a win. The first one I kind of wanted to highlight is a yak wool blend, and it really kind of has this quite casual, cool, effortless feel to the silhouette because it's got a dropped shoulder and it's really quite oversized through the body, even the way that it fits. Now, a little tip for you when you are coat shopping is to not just consider how the coat looks open, but how it looks closed as well. I know this is kind of a silly point, but often I see coats online and they look great worn open, but when you fasten them up so you can kind of get that really great layer of insulation, they don't look as nice on the body, and actually they might be a little bit awkward. So I'm happy to report the ones that I've tested, they look chic both ways. But yeah, I just think this is a great classic peacoat style in this heathered mild black. So it kind of has more of a softer feel than a true black coat would. And that's a good thing to think about when you are adding in a darker coat to your wardrobe, because not all of us will suit a true black coat, whereas something that does have that more softer contrast against the complexion might be the more flattering option. This one here definitely feels a little bit more relaxed, whereas the other one I have is a bit more polished and it definitely has this refinement, the type of coat that I would be wearing to a really smart kind of corporate office. So this one here definitely has that much warmer feel to it because it's this beautiful chocolate brown herringbone. So you have this lovely kind of textural visual element that brings in dimension to your outfit, but also the mix of textures helps to make it feel a little bit more interesting too, because you've got the faux leather collar, and on the underside it is finished in that same wool herringbone as the exterior. So this is 100% wool, so again kind of really highlighting the fact that that's a great option to seek out when you are buying a winter coat. And then the lining is a viscose and poly blend. The buttons add a subtle point of difference but feel really elegant against the herringbone of the coat. And a nice detail to look out for is, number one, Goelia have actually embossed the buttons with their branding, and that is something that does have a higher cost, so it's typically more premium brands that will do this. But also you can see the double button on the inside, which helps really secure those buttons to the coat so they're not going to be going anywhere. Another thing is that I really love a bit of length in my coats for winter because it feels more dramatic and definitely has a little bit more of elegance as well as being pragmatic too. Now we'll talk about transitional weight coats as well, because again that's sort of something that's going to bridge the gap between summer to winter. And for me, a trench coat is kind of one of my ride or die staples, but for you it could look so different. It could be a barn jacket, it could be maybe some sort of a cashmere poncho, or it could be something that's a little bit more ladylike. So I have this beautiful trench coat, and I love a max style cut because it feels classic. It also doesn't add too much bulk around the neckline, which can sometimes come off a little bit fussy. Again, there are lots of details that I really like here. So we have the belt, which is actually attached to the belt loop, so it's not going anywhere even when you're wearing the jacket loose. And then it is also lined. This is going to be a water repellent, water resistant cotton, so it has been treated, so that's kind of nice if you get caught in a bit of a shower or a downpour. Hopefully you've got an umbrella on you too. But yeah, also just being in a really nice neutral color that will work back with everything in your wardrobe. Always the sorts of things I'm thinking about. But if you are someone who does prefer maybe a shorter jacket or something that is a little bit more kind of refined, I love these collarless. This is a 100% wool jacket. It's actually blended with a bit of cashmere, which makes it feel even more luxurious. And things to think about here are, where is the jacket hitting you on your body, and what types of pieces will you be styling on your lower half in order to make sure that there is a really nice flow to your silhouette and that you're not creating these awkward visual breaks in your outfits. And you'll see this illustrated quite nicely, I feel, at the end of the video. Next category is a great pair of jeans, and I feel like you just kind of need one or two really good ones. And I feel like these jeans are probably my favorite find from Goelia. They are a pair of kind of wide leg jeans, but what's interesting about them is they do have this double button detail. So you can wear them a little bit lower slung on the hips, or you can fasten it to the second button to wear it a little bit higher up on the waist. Great if you're someone who actually is a little bit wider through the hips too, because it gives you that nice cinched in waist while still accommodating the width across the hips and through the thighs, which is really nice. Also, I love a darker wash just because it does feel a little bit more elegant, a little bit more refined, and often you can wear these darker washes on a casual day into the office, even for more corporate settings. Just thinking about how we can add extra polish through a pointed toe boot or something that feels really quite crisp and chic on our upper half. But denim definitely feels like a little bit of a no-brainer. Then I kind of want to move on to what I call the layering piece. So this is going to be the starting point for many of your outfits, though what it looks like may vary, and you might have a couple. Could be a little roll neck with long sleeves, a mock neck or a crew, something that is really quite fine in texture and that has a really close cut to the body. Or maybe it's sleeveless, maybe it's a t-shirt, or even just a simple cotton long sleeve. So I have a couple of options here from Goelia. The first actually being an update on a top that I have from them from I think about 2 or 3 years ago. So it's this mock neck top, which definitely feels like it's an update on this ribbed mock neck top that I have with the slash detail. I'll show you a side by side just so you can see from comparison. But gosh, this is really stunning, and I think the thing that makes it really special for me is the texture, which I hope you're going to be able to see because it's almost got this bubbled effect to it. It reminds me a lot of a Proenza Schooler skirt that I bought over a decade ago. I mean, it's just divine, and it's made from 100% wool as well. So this great insulating layer against your body, but it has almost a viscosy, silky feel to it. So very, very comfortable, smooth, and not at all itchy. And it has quite a nice amount of stretch. But as an alternative, you could do something a little bit more classic like this that has the very slim fit to it. This one is in a chocolate brown too, so a nice neutral that will work under most things. I didn't style this in the outfits at the end, but I'm sure you could imagine it in place of the mock neck instead. Next category is an excellent pair of trousers, and these could be a really chill slouchy pair of trousers, or it could be something more tailored. And because I love polish in my looks, even if I'm going really casual, mine have that more polished feel to them. And I have 2 options that I wanted to share, and the other thing I think about is, can I layer thermals under them so that I can really take them through all the seasons and any sort of weather that I might be hit with. So something that's a bit wider through the leg is definitely a good choice, especially if you are spending a little bit more. This first pair is in a really deep midnight navy, almost looking black on camera. And the thing I love about these is the waistband. It is flat across the front, but the waistband's actually elasticated. So really, really comfortable, and one of those situations where no one's really gonna know. So it has the side zip closure on the side and really nice and wide through the leg. So you have plenty of space for those thermals and looks chic paired with both a heel and a really lovely boot for winter. They are a wool blend, and it's a twill fabrication, so you have that nice subtle texture to it. Then the other pair that I have comes as part of a 3-piece suit. They're 100% wool, and they have this lovely kind of soft, it's not a herringbone, but almost a salt and peppery effect to the way that they've been knitted and woven together. And the great thing about these is that, yes, they have that traditional tailoring, the flat front, but then they're elasticated at the back. And I'm often talking about this, but I really seek out comfort in my clothing because I think then you're just going to be able to move around, you're going to feel more flexible, you're not going to feel restricted or constrained by what you're wearing, which is often, I think, when we decide we don't want to wear things, is when it doesn't give us joy or make us feel good. So that's always a bit of a boon, and you can actually cinch them a little bit on the inside as there's these adjustable buttons there. But again, they have that nice sort of wide fit through the legs. So these 2 pairs are definitely interchangeable, but if you wanted to go for a bit of a suiting moment, I do think it is nice where you have something that does match, and they don't necessarily need to be from the same collection, but I think where it's really hard to tell, you've definitely hit your sweet spot. So another great option would be maybe something that's a little bit more cropped, maybe a cord pant, maybe something that is actually quite skinny fitting through the leg, especially if you love to really play around with your proportions. But I do find a wider leg tends to add the most balance to an outfit, because especially when you're wearing something tucked in, you create this lovely X silhouette. So my next must-have for autumn winter is a nice tailored or kind of dressy jacket. And I'd say for most people, it is going to be something like a blazer, and it could be a cropped blazer. It could be something that really cinches in at the waist and has an hourglass. Maybe it's just more of a traditional boyfriend blazer. This one here is double-breasted, so you've got a little bit more width across the body, and it does have some nice padding in the shoulders as well to create a sharp silhouette. So little details to look out for. 100% wool, and it does remind me a lot of another blazer, which I'm going to pop a photo of here, but just absolutely beautiful. And I was really blown away when this arrived, as I feel like this and the color are incredibly versatile, and it's a great way to really dial up something that's a bit more casual. Maybe you're opting for a denim look, you're wearing the blazer, and then it instantly feels a bit more polished. I think it's nice to create that balance in our core pieces with feminine and more masculine leaning items. So a great dress or even a skirt would be a really good option here. So again, I've got two different ones. This first one being actually more of a summery piece, but this to me acts as the perfect all seasons item because it is black, it's lined, but the fabrication isn't quite so precious and delicate that it feels only suited to spring and summer. I wouldn't blink twice if I saw someone wearing this in autumn winter because it still feels very attuned and aligned to those more kind of durable, hardy, robust winter fabrics. This one actually does come with a really pretty matching top. Things I really like in my skirts are pockets. We like lining or something that has a bit of movement to it because that is going to feel really graceful as you're walking, and a little bit of stretch in the waistband doesn't hurt. And you can really see those qualities mirrored in this other skirt here. This one is 100% wool, and it's a really thick, weighty, heavy twill, and you can really see how the weight of the fabric contributes to how it moves. And I just think this is a nice way to counteract all of those really quite stiff or bulky pieces that we're wearing in the colder months and adding in that sense of grace, that elegance. My next core essential is just a handful of great accessories. So, you know, you've got your bag, which needs to do it all. It needs to be something that fits very comfortably over the top of a chunky coat without bunching up underneath the arm. That's something that's really quite important to me. So I'm always looking out for a decent strap drop. Then we want to have a really good pair of boots or even heels. I personally love a boot that is in that really chocolatey, plummy oxblood hue, as it is such a versatile and underrated neutral, and I feel like it adds so much to an outfit, and I really love it when my accessories go but don't necessarily match. Also, a good belt, a great way to add that instant sense of refinement. And I feel like it'd be remiss of me not to mention things that are really woolly and cozy, like a beautiful scarf. So this one's 100% cashmere, and it's going to act as that point of contrast for many of the outfits. Maybe even you've got a beanie or some really beautiful gloves. I really love a leather glove that has a cashmere lining in it because it just feels incredibly luxurious. I mean, what a treat. Finally, I always like to think about that wildcard piece that we have in our wardrobe. So this is going to be something special, and it could be the silhouette that feels unusual, it could be the color, it could be the print, it could be the texture. This will make your outfits feel so much more dynamic and interesting, and also just add that really deeply personal touch. So something like this here, which is incredibly textured. It does have that lovely little cable knit, but it's in a really luxurious eco faux fur. So this adds a really interesting texture into an outfit. Or because we're heading into the festive season, maybe you're seeking out something that's really fun, like with some sequins. And again, looking for those elasticated waistbands wherever I can find them. So those are my 10 essentials. And as mentioned, all of these are from Goelia, and I do have those codes in case anything caught your eye and you want to go have a little click. Highly recommend checking out their coats because they are just phenomenal. That blazer, the jeans, I mean, I've got too many favorites here. You're going to be seeing a lot of these on repeat. Now, I wanted to give you so much outfit inspiration and just show you how a handful of items can really create a really diverse and interesting wardrobe. Basically, you only need a little to come up with a lot of outfits. So things I like to think about when I am styling my outfits are gradients of color, because that is going to draw the eye down when we're wearing something that is lighter or darker on top, and then going to the reverse at our feet. I like to think about tonalities and how we're introducing texture. So using details like that beautiful cable knitted jumper to really add in that visual depth, that nice kind of tactile quality to an outfit. I'm thinking about how I am dialing down or dialing up my outfits, which we can do a few different ways. One is through the types of items that we are styling. So if we are styling more casual pieces, using something that feels a bit more polished, a little bit more done up, elegant, that will instantly dial up the look and kind of create more of a refined feel. Whereas you can do the opposite with something that is more polished by styling it with things that are more casual to really dress it down. And that's definitely a bit of a no-brainer. But also tucking in versus leaving something untucked, that's going to read as more casual or more polished. And also the shape of the shoes that we are wearing with our outfits. So using a sharper shoe will always feel a little bit more polished and elegant, whereas a rounder shoe and also something that is flat is going to read as a bit more chill and relaxed. We can think about how we are layering both over and under. I love using those mock necks under something that has more of an open neckline to create that visual layering, also as a point of contrast. And it's a really nice way to create that insulating quality and also build up the warmth of your outfit without adding too much bulk. You'd be surprised by how warm you feel when you layer 2 100% wool knits. I also like to include more offbeat styling tricks. So using our knitwear as a scarf, I think it's a great way to play around with our pieces and also just maximize them a little bit, whether you tie them in the center or to the side. You can also create a nice point of contrast between your upper and lower half by using a knit tied at the waist. This definitely feels very modern, very now, but also practical because you can throw that knit on later if you need it. And where we have items with buttons, playing around with how many we leave open and how many we have fastened, as that can kind of make it feel like you've got multiple tops or jackets in one. So there you have it, the autumn winter essentials that I feel actually matter. Everything else is just kind of noise. I hope that you enjoyed this and that the styling portion actually gave you loads of different outfit ideas for the season ahead for all of my Northern Hemisphere friends. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere like me, I'll link my Substack below where I shared my most recent warm weather capsule, which will give you just as many ideas, but hopefully you took away some really great tips from this video. And a huge thank you to Goelia for working with me on this. It really is just a joy to get to share all of these stunning pieces from you. And comment below if you had a favorite piece. Don't forget, I do have those discount codes too. Have the most phenomenal week ahead. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with me, and I'll see you next time with a brand new video. See you soon. Bye.